Hey everyone, Tyler with Bedford Camera and Video. In the studio today, we have something exciting, something that is highly anticipated, has been anticipated for several years, at least on this side. So we use the Canon C70 and the R5C for a lot of our productions. This is the latest camera in the Canon Cine RF line. This is the Canon EOS C400. We have it built out here with the side handle, the top handle, the monitor, and the battery that comes with it, as well as the new 24-105 f2.8 zoom lens. Now, if you were to fully strip it down, body only, this body weighs 3.4 pounds, so very lightweight. It's approximately 5 inches by 5 inches by 5 inches, so 5 inches in every direction. Easy to put on a gimbal, easy to put on a car rig, or even use it for some documentary filmmaking for a long day. You can shoot up to 6K 60 frames per second in RAW if you want to, and 4K up to 120 frames per second. And if you need slower motion, you can go 2K up to 180 frames per second. In bright sunlight or studio situations, you have built-in ND filters on the side that you can increase or decrease the amount of filtration. And for those of you shooting in low light conditions, you have not a dual base ISO, this is a triple base ISO. Depending on the mode you're shooting in, that will depend on the highest base ISO for what you're shooting. And that includes if you're shooting 6K Canon Cinema RAW, you can shoot up to 12,800 ISO. The base ISO values will vary depending on the mode you're shooting. And that includes shooting in 6K Canon RAW, which allows you to shoot up to 12,800 ISO. But in doing so, in some shots, we actually had to turn on the ND filters. All of the footage you see coming from the Canon EOS C400 is from a pre-production model. And being that we were shooting in low lit conditions, we decided to shoot everything at 12,800 ISO when we were inside. In fact, when we were shooting the footage of the motorcycle, we had the top-down light dimmed down to 3% to keep it from overexposing. Being that this is an RF lens mount, you can expect an excellent response on the autofocus. If you're a run and gun type of shooter and you need to rely on the autofocus, the C400 has dual pixel CMOS AF-II. This allows you to have fast and accurate people and animal subject tracking. Of course, if you prefer to use non-RF lenses, feel free to use any of the adapters, including the newly announced Canon developed PL to RF adapter. As far as storage media is concerned, on the side here, we have a CFexpress Type B slot as well as an SD card slot. And yes, this does have the ability to shoot up to 2K proxies to the SD card. When we were trying the C400 out, we were shooting in RAW ST on a 512 gigabyte CFexpress Type B card, and that was giving us about 79 minutes of recording time. But we were also shooting in a proxy format for faster editing later on. We were shooting in the XF AVCS format on a 128 gigabyte SD card, and that was giving us about 1,040 minutes. Included in the box is the new BP A60N battery. If you have any of the BP A60s or 30s like we have on the C70 here, they can be used on the EOS C400, but in order to use the lens terminal on the front for certain lenses and for the multifunction shoe on the top, you need the N designated batteries. You'll find this multifunction shoe on the included top handle, but if you want to take that off and strip the camera down, there's also another one on the top of the camera when you have that handle removed. This can be useful if you want to strip your camera down to the bare essentials, but you still want to capture higher quality audio. Use the DM-E1D microphone, slips right onto that multifunction shoe, and you're ready to go. For low light shoots where you don't want to distract the talent with lights on the camera, you can toggle these lights off and on by pressing the button on the camera. As far as connectivity is concerned, on the front we have a lens port for specific lenses. We have a couple of custom function buttons. By default, this button on the front can be used as a recording button. This button on the side can be used as a recording button, and on the side handle. Now on the left side of the camera, go to the top, you have your camera on and media switch. A spot to measure your distance from the sensor plane. So the sensor plane is pretty much right there on the front. You'll see an air intake over here, as well as the air going out on this side of the camera, as you'll see on a lot of Canon cinema cameras. Over on the side here, that's where you're going to find access to your mic options, your mic levels. Your XLRs are going to be on the back here. You have a control wheel with a selector on the middle, as well as a control wheel down here for other options. We have some quick playback controls down here. And then the buttons that will probably be used most often are going to be on this side right here. And yes, there are dots so you can feel around, you know where the buttons are, finding the right ones like a waveform or shutter speed, shutter angle. You're going to find all those on the side here. Then we'll go to the back of the camera, some selector buttons and switches here. Then you have your I/O connectivity on the right side here. So the first one you're going to see is a 12 volt DC in. If you want to go into wall power, you're also going to have some Genlock sync and time code options. You have two mini XLR inputs, so use the appropriate cables that you need for that shoot. And over here you have your SDI outs. You have a USB-C port that can be used for live streaming or live events. You have a regular 1/8 inch headphone jack there, a regular 1/8 inch mic jack input here, as well as a full-size HDMI out. And if we move over to the right side of the camera, you're going to see that rosette where that handle went. Of course, you could add your own handle. Down here we have an Ethernet port, which can be used for network connected cameras. So if you're using this in conjunction with some of the Canon CRN cameras, you can connect that to a switch. And then you also have your different mic selectors above that. And last but certainly not least is we have connectivity for that grip. That's a USB-C connection and a connector for the included monitor. So it has a locking connector on the top here. There's a little lip right here that works with the cable that comes with the monitor. So you slide it in there, it has those little tabs on the side to help lock it in. So we slide it in there, twist that down, and now that connection is secure. Canon added the option for you to choose the color of your volume meters from white to color. So if you're used to looking at your signal from green, yellow, red, you have that option available. As with many Canon cinema cameras, the C400 has a clear scan mode, but what's exciting is the implementation of an automatic clear scan mode. We tried that on the info screen of this motorcycle, and we were very surprised with the results. It found the exact frequency of the screen, and it was ready to go. This auto clear scan mode will be especially useful for training demonstrations using computer screens, or in live event production with the use of LED backgrounds. The Canon C400 also allows you to use the RF 5.2mm fisheye VR lens. You can use the Canon VR utility or the plugin made available by Canon to use in Adobe Premiere Pro. For remote operation, you can either use the built-in Ethernet port or its built-in Wi-Fi. This will help you connect with Canon's XC protocol, so you can control the C400 as well as other cameras using the Canon camera controllers, or wirelessly using the browser remote tool or the multi-camera control tool. Canon designed the C400 to be used in a myriad of different applications, not just commercial or cinema use. Feel free to use this in broadcast scenarios where you may want to use broadcast lenses that plug into the camera, as well as virtual sets, house of worship productions, and wedding videos. And a big thank you to Bentonville Studios at the farm for allowing us to film and test out this awesome new camera. If you want to make this camera part of your kit, visit any of our physical locations or online at bedfords.com.